Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. A lot has been said about the TikTok procedures. Everyone's talking about, oh, TikTok is going to shut down. TikTok's going to shut down. I keep seeing a lot of creators talking about how we won't be able to follow them on TikTok anymore. And they're giving out their Instagram accounts and their YouTube accounts so that people can follow them. And I was curious to know why everyone was saying that TikTok was going to shut down. I mean, I've heard all the talk about it over the past few years. Trump has said a lot about it. Other politicians have said a lot about it. Is it going to shut down, though? So here's what I found. Supreme Court of the United States. These are legal documents filed by TikTok to stop the ban. So I'm not going to read the whole thing on camera because it's quite long. I think it's 80 pages or something like that. But I will give you the gist. So here's what the documents say. They filed a petition. They filed documents with the court. And let's take a look. Introduction. I'm going to read some of it. In an unprecedented action, Congress has ordered the shutdown of one of the most significant speech platforms in America. The government concedes, moreover, that it did so partly based on the fear that the platform's American publisher could be indirectly pressured by China to alter the look at it, to alter the mix of content to influence American minds. So this seems to be the biggest concern here, that by watching TikToks and interacting with that content, that somehow people will start to be influenced by what China wants the USA to do. All right, moving on. That justification is at war with the First Amendment. Those of you familiar with one of the most important aspects of American culture, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. You're allowed to say what you please, and you are allowed to express yourself. So, by shutting down TikTok, they would be prevented from speaking their mind. Their First Amendment right would be somehow stopped by this ban. Petitioners do not contest Congress's compelling interest in protecting this nation's security or the many weapons it has to do so, but that arsenal simply does not include suppressing the speech of Americans because other Americans may be persuaded. At minimum, the government cannot so burden speech without without even considering less restrictive alternatives. In other words, instead of just banning TikTok, why can't they find other ways to protect what they feel is in danger because of TikTok? At minimum, the government cannot so burden speech without even considering less restrictive alternatives, which it manifestly failed to do here. If, for example, the danger is secrecy, the tried and true solution is sunlight, not suppression. Sunlight, not suppression. So they want everything to be out in the open so that people can express themselves everything can be out in the open. Instead of taking that completely away, and in that case, everybody that once had the right to speak their minds, they will be kept in the dark. They won't be able to express themselves freely anymore. As Congress concluded decades ago, when confronting the issues of Americans serving as agents of a foreign power, history and precedent teach that even when national security is at stake, speech bans must be Congress's last resort. So this would constitute in a speech ban because when people can't express themselves on TikTok, they're having their speech banned. I myself do not use TikTok for political reasons. I use it for fun. I use it to show videos to my friends in different parts of the world. But some people use it as a platform to speak their minds, very often politically. Moving along. TikTok is an online platform that is one of the nation's most important venues for communication. It is provided in the US by petitioner TikTok Incorporated, an American company that is indirectly owned by petitioner ByteDance Limited, which is neither a Chinese company nor owned by one. Starting on January 19th, 2025, the act will ban petitioners from operating TikTok in this country. Bingo. So that is the reason why everyone and their mom is talking about, okay, we no longer will have TikTok. Follow me on this and that social media. My TikTok is going to be gone. That's why. That's why everyone's talking about that right now in recent days. Because of this date here, January 19th, 2025. Moving along. So here, the document states that more than 170 million monthly American users communicate on TikTok about politics, arts, commerce, and other matters of public concern, as illustrated by the massive interest expressed during the recent presidential election. So there's a lot of talk on TikTok about the elections on both sides. You're allowed to go and defend Trump. You're allowed to go on there and bash Trump and bash Kamala, and that's your freedom of speech. You're allowed to do so. The DC Circuit upheld the act based on alleged risks that China could exercise control over the American platform by pressuring petitioners' foreign affiliates. The government concedes that it has no evidence China has ever attempted to do so, but it fears that in the future, China could try to manipulate the mix of content disseminated on TikTok to influence American users or try to misappropriate their data, whatever pronunciation you prefer. The DC Circuit's decision accepting this rationale, rationale, I love words that have various pronunciations. So, banning TikTok would absolutely create a chaotic situation for everyone that makes money off the platform. But this is not the main focus of the petition here. They're more worried about how this ban completely negates the First Amendment, which is all the way for freedom of speech. If you want to hear more about this, leave me a comment, let me know. if you want me to continue to do the analysis of this document, we have a few days still. I have been reading the document myself, and I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what's going to happen. I've seen a lot about it in the media. But if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel, leave me a like, leave me a comment.